Welcome to the Heavy Spoiler Show. I'm your host, Paul, as always, your resident expert on Resident Evil. We've just been playing through Requiem. Obviously, if you've seen our video from last week talking about the ending, you know that we love the game. I've had time to go through it again, really getting immersed in that world. And Matt, you've been enjoying it as well. So I thought we'd just do a big spoiler review and just talk about it, because though we don't cover games much at the channel, Resident Evil has always been one of those franchises that ever since a kid, I've just been swept up in it. I remember going around my friend Josh Howie's house, and he was playing Resident Evil 2, and I remember his mum was like sat in the room with us, and she was just shocked when she started seeing like the zombies getting headshotted left, right, and center. But that's when I grew to love it. And then I got Resident Evil, and then just went from there. And I think it was Resident Evil 2 that just sucked me right in, and then from then I was obsessed with this world and just everything involving it and zombies in general. So in terms of the franchise, where are you coming in on it, Matt? How do you feel about it?
I watched the infamous Resident Evil movie back in the day, downloaded it on Kazaa, because my parents, they saw like the 18 rating on they wouldn't buy me the games until the one on the remake of Resident Evil 1 on the GameCube, and that's when I got into it there.
Yeah.
But I am an absolute wimp when it comes to horror games. I love, like, horror is my favorite franchise, but jump scares and that, but I love it. So I kind of dipped in and out the franchise, played 7, and it scared the absolute hell out of me. I played like the Revelations games, I think that's what they're called. I played them, but I'm more of like a very casual Resident Evil fan. But I love the RE engine ones, like Village, remake of 4. I had that on the Wii as well, when you had to like hold it up like that. But the remake is just stunning. So yeah, I'm very casual, in and out, dipping.
Yeah, well, I think you probably offer quite a good perspective on Requiem as well. Like I said, you know, I mean, even survival horror games, I've always just played them. They've always been like my favorite thing to buy. And if you ever see like what games I'm buying, it's normally a survival horror game. To the point that when I got Hitman World of Assassinations, it was actually weird playing a game where I just didn't have a tense feeling throughout, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm even enjoying this, because I'm not like, it's not getting to me. But stuff like, I mean, The Last of Us is kind of horror, survival horror, but it's done in quite a good cinematic way where you kind of fight human enemies as well. I think they get a really good balance between it. But stuff like Dead Space, I mean, Dead Space 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Alien Isolation as well. Alan Wake is kind of horror, survival horror.
Yeah,
well, I would say
the second one's more scary. I think the second one's more like Silent Hill and all that compared to the first one, definitely.
Yeah, but even like Silent Hill, I mean, I've loved that franchise. But Resident Evil has always been seen as the daddy. And even though Alone in the Dark was first, I think, and it did clearly borrow a lot of things from Alone in the Dark, I think that first game just kind of set the standard for what survival horror was. It was just like a creepy mansion brought to life in a 3D world, lots of jump scares, things constantly keeping you on your toes. And I've just followed the franchise since then. 3, I wasn't massive. It's weird because I love the stalker enemies, but 3 was one that, though I enjoyed, I think I just preferred 2 so much. When 4 came along, fucking hell, that was my game.
God-tier game.
Code Veronica was in between that as well, I think. I never quite got into Code Veronica.
Yeah, I had it pre-ordered on the Dreamcast, but I never ended up picking it up.
Yeah. I think I got halfway through it when you go to the base, and there's like a big change in the game where you completely change location, and that's kind of when I was like, I'm not really enjoying this. Dived out. But Leon, he has always been my number one, and the PS2, I got Resident Evil 4. I got like a Steelbook edition, and this was when eBay was first coming out, and I was so young, and I put it in and it didn't work, and I just had no way to like return it. I just couldn't think of like how I would send this back, so I kept that and then got another version and then just play that non-stop. And I remember me and my friend Rob, and we'd go out of town, go out drinking, and then be like, oh, do you want to come back? And we'd go play Resident Evil 4. So yeah, love that. As far as 7 and 8 went, so I liked 5 as well. That's when I moved into student accommodation, and that was good because it was like a co-op game.
I loved 5.
Yeah, 6 I was always a bit kind of met on. I did like certain sections of it. I think certain sections were really, really good, and then others just didn't fit the tone at all. And then 7 and 8, I don't know. I think I was too in love with Alien Isolation to
Mm.
properly enjoy it because I've always loved the sci-fi stuff, and I think that's why I gravitated towards Dead Space so much. But I just didn't think 7 lived up to Alien Isolation, and I remember
Ooh.
when the Daddy Baker was like following you around the house, and I was
Yeah.
ducking behind stuff, and he was just coming in and seeing me straight away. And I was like, well, that wouldn't happen on Alien Isolation. I can actually hide away. And they had like a really weird system. And first person for me with Resident Evil is just something I've never quite vibed with. And that kind of takes us into Requiem because you get two characters, Grace and Leon, who kind of celebrate both sides of the franchise. Now, Grace, you're told to play in first person. Did you do that, Matt?
Absolutely no chance. Am I playing
Yeah.
for like Resident Evil 7? I can only play it during the day, and I have the curtains open, and I just was like, no. But yeah, no, this one's
Yeah.
third person, and it's a lot easier because you can see the girl when you go around the corners. You can spot her, especially in the basement, which is just, I don't know what sadistic person made that level, the basement. But yeah, no, third person all the way for me. But I
So I've been,
understand
yeah.
the first person, but I'm a wimp.
Yeah, so I've been saying this to you for the last couple of days and bragging about it because everyone online was saying like how scary the basement was, and I didn't find it. But what I did was I was like listening to like podcasts at the time, and I just had the volume turned up, and I was just running through the area and not really paying attention to the sound. So I didn't find it scary. Last of Us Part One, hotel basement is still the scariest basement for me.
Yes.
But I think that does kind of show just how well made this game is in the fact that the audio very much enhances the experience.
Yeah.
And I've played it on 3 versions. So this chair has speakers built into it on like
That's
Bluetooth.
hellish.
So that's how I played it first. Yeah. And then I played with headphones on, which don't fucking ever play with headphones on. And then I just played with my Dolby Atmos setup. But because I feel like I kind of robbed myself of the experience by
Yeah.
doing it that way because everyone's saying how scary it is. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I just kind of ran through it and just wasn't really paying attention. Then when she popped out, I would just run back to a save room.
Yeah.
But I totally understand how you can get swept up into it because I've played the hotel section. So just to lay the groundwork, Grace basically gets told by her boss, like, oh, we need you to go investigate the hotel where your mother was murdered at by yourself, no backup. Get yourself away. Which, looking back, was that a good choice?
Absolutely
But
not.
either way, she goes there. That's when I was playing as first person, and I was playing on my OLED in the dark. And man, the black levels on this game are absolutely insane. There's certain parts where you go into like a dark area and you can't actually progress because of how dark it is. And I just seeing that on the screen, it was completely pitch black. And it was at the hotel when I was like, I think I'm gonna have to switch to third person mode here. Anyone who plays this with like headphones on in first person mode in the dark on an OLED,
I have
you
got
deserve
headphones.
an Academy Award.
That's how
Nice.
I play it, but with one cup off.
Yeah, I did that with the Dead Space remake, and I
Oh,
was like, nah, I can't fucking
that
do
was
it. There's like a
horrific.
bit early on in that game. Yeah, there's a bit early on in that game where you go to like a massive area that's just completely
Yeah.
black, and I'm like, I ain't doing this. Got to like turn the power on. That's always the objective in this
Yes.
place. Like fuses out. So yeah, I think that hotel was such a good way to start things and play into the whole history of Resident Evil. It was kind of quite a small area, wasn't much really going on in retrospect, but that first entrance, and then the zombie that comes after you when you get kind of in the first person view.
Yeah.
I was blown away by that cop transforming and then coming after you, and you're jabbing shit in his eyes and stuff. So yeah, that first section works really, really well, I think. And from here, you go to the care center because you're captured by Victor Gideon. This is when the game really kicks it into what I consider like the actual full game. So how are you feeling with Grace as a protagonist in general, and just the way they kind of lay the groundwork at the start?
What surprised me the most, because I tried not to watch trailers before it came out. I was shocked that you go into the game and there's like people around you. There's like, it's not just turning up at a
Yeah.
mansion. It's like I think at the start of 3, I've only played the remake, where you're in Raccoon City. She looks in the mirror, and then the proverbial hits the fan there. So I thought that was really cool. Cool seeing someone from Resident Evil Outbreak, which is a game I always looked at the PlayStation magazine thinking, oh, I want to play that one day. But yeah, it was a really good introduction, and I just think it just looks stunning. The game just looks, the RE engine is just unreal at how good it looks. It's just
Unreal, eh?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just brilliant, and I think it's a great introduction to the game, and the fact that you are going to live through absolute hell throughout the game until
Yeah.
the second half.
Yeah. I do really like the engine. I really, really do. I think, so many games just default to Unreal Engine, but I think this shows, especially
Yeah,
with how fast they've managed to get this game out
yeah,
from announcing it and the fact that there's not really any bugs in it. Like, I've not ran into one bug on any playthrough,
mm,
whereas I know with Unreal Engine, you constantly, like, even on social media, you'll see, like, posts and posts of people being like, look
yeah,
at this fucking stupid thing.
like Borderlands
And I
4
think
and
they've
all
just
that.
yeah, they've just nailed building their own engine. The lighting is fantastic, and that's kind of where we go next with the care center,
Yeah,
where you're kind of kidnapped by Dr. Gideon. You manage to escape, and then you start going down some crazy dark corridors that are very, very, very dark.
yeah,
Some of them, and there's something clearly there now. Like I said, I absolutely love stalker characters. I fucking love Alien Isolation just for the fact that you are constantly crouched for like the entire game,
yeah,
sneaking through everything. There's always the chance it's going to pop out, and that feeling was recaptured for me in these moments. Throughout the franchise, we've had Mr. X, and Nemesis is obviously probably the most famous one because
yeah,
we had the game named after him. I actually thought the Mr. X was a better Nemesis than
yeah,
Nemesis in the
yeah,
remakes. I thought
definitely.
3 was just that it was just all set pieces with Nemesis. You had like
Yeah,
maybe the odd bit where he would follow you unprogrammed, but yeah, I've always kind of craved that sort of feeling like you don't know what's around the corner. You're being very cautious. And that's exactly what we got with Big Mama. Now, she is called Big Mama, but from the reveals, I was wondering if she should be called Big Sister. But either way, fucking scary as fuck. And I
yeah,
love the way they introduce her as well because you find that children's book that
yeah,
kind of you flick through. And this is how good the game design is. It not only sets up how scary she is and her eyes like glowing in the darkness, but it also basically tells you what the rules are and that you have to go for the light.
yeah,
And yeah, when she first comes down and you start creeping around, you're just immediately on edge to the point that they even do a great jump scare fake out when you turn the light
yeah,
on and there's like a horse at the bottom of the corridor and you're like, fuck. And it's just a horse statue. So yeah, it's quite a good little area that I think to kind of get you up to speed with the rules and just keep you on edge. How were you feeling when you seen Big Mama coming after you?
Well, what I really liked was they had that, like you said, with the story, like in Village, where you had the story of where you're going to go, and did wonder if they were going to do some kind of like villaging mold thing. Is Ethan Winters back or somehow? But the it does feel so Dead Space. I think it does feel kind of
Yeah.
absolutely horrifying. It amplifies what they had in 7 when you're in the house, and it's a bit bigger, and I like the whole light thing. I do think they could have done a bit more with the light and bringing her in, kind of trapping her in a way I thought would have been pretty cool. I felt like that the whole light mechanic was a bit underused because it was so good when you go to leave the area. But as a whole, it was really, really good. I thought the guy who's keep trying to touch the light, and that was just
Yeah.
really good. The horse petrified me. I knew it was there when you're going around,
Yeah.
but the darkly like, oh my god. And when you're
Yeah.
in the lab sort of thing, and when you're just like she goes past you, yeah, just absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Yeah, even just moving a trolley about, and there
Yeah.
is a way I've seen that you can move that without causing a sound, and you just have to very, like,
Oh
slowly
really?
shift it. Yeah, and I think you get, like Grace says something like, "Yes," when if you manage to do that, but there's so many little tasks and you just constantly like, oh fuck's sake, they've got to get this fuse, got to go back to this place.
Yeah.
They just constantly keep like putting roadblocks in the way. But who doesn't really face many roadblocks is Leon motherfucking S.
Yep.
Kennedy, who you switch between. And what I loved about this game, especially, it feels like a greatest hits of all the games that have come before. And there's such a nice tonal balance of you're scared for your life at one point with Grace, and then you kind of replay things in that section as Leon, and you just fucking you're a G. You're
Yeah.
just going through shooting everyone, doing roundhouse kicks, chopping people with axes and stuff. And they've got such a good, amazing tonal balance, where you're in a section, but it never outstays its welcome.
No.
And just as you get into the point of like, oh, I'm getting a bit fed up with this, it switches up and you're doing something else. And there's just constant things. Even in Raccoon City, when you're playing predominantly as Leon the whole way, they still keep throwing like different areas and different challenges in your way. It's just constantly like, it feels like the game's evolving as you go on. And so you take over as Leon for a bit, you know, you go around killing people with a chainsaw, you all guns blazing, you're cracking jokes, you're having a great time, and then you're back as Grace, giving the Requiem, and it's like, here you go, use this for survival. And it's like, mate, it's got one bullet in, and it's way too overpowered for me to just go and shoot this willy-nilly. And then you play for her as like the next, well, like the first proper sort of open area section, I would say. That feels very, very Resident Evil Mansion. Now, there's lots of different enemy types that you kind of touched upon. There's a guy who is pissed off that the lights are on. He reminds me of my dad being like, why is this light on all the time? Like, if my dad was a zombie, he'd be like, this light's on? You're not even in here. There's a singer as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the chef, and there's just the blood bag guy, the guy who hates noises.
Yeah.
Who I've seen they can fucking take people out.
They can take out the
he'll
chef.
Kill loads of people quick. Yeah. I played that. I don't know if I kind of ruined things later on down the line for myself, because I played that very cautious at first for like 2 hours. And then I had so much ammo at one point that I was like, oh, I'm just going to go fucking kill all these guys. Like the singer and the 3 people in the bar.
Yeah.
I just let them come down the corridor towards me. They were all cramped together, and I just got the Requiem out and just one shot took all 3 out. And I managed to get the gun. Yeah. I got the gun from behind the bar, and then from that point onwards, I was like, all right, I'm killing all these fucking dudes. Even with the blister heads coming in, I didn't really feel that tense about it. And it was to the point that when you go there as Leon, I kind of felt like I'd robbed myself of another experience there, because I'd actually killed pretty much all of them as Grace. And then, yeah, Leon was just kind of walking through and the place was empty.
Yeah.
Chunk is another great character, though, that kind of stalks you through. Yeah, Chunk is fantastic. Big chunky guy, blocks up the whole corridor. There's no way around him. Your only thing to do is run. And though you can take him out, he's so threatening. And just when he dropped down with the bracelet, and I went to pick that up, and I didn't have any inventory spaces left. Inventory. Why can't I fucking say that? So yeah, I had to back out. I know this guy's coming for me, like sort out all my shit, then pick it up and then run. Yeah, and he's just a fantastic villain. So how were you feeling about this section with Grace?
I just thought it should be annoying that when you try to run, she just trips over and that. But it's really worked that she was like a desk jockey at the FBI, and she comes in. And I just think it's really good. You have kind of the chef, and you've got Chunk in both sections, and that you need to work around. And you have to you can avoid them or not, but I literally just wiped everyone out as much as I could. I went and got as much ammo and that. And I thought it was really good that each character has their own different kind of ways you can get around them. And that. So I thought it was really good with the enemy variety was actually really good with the singer, where she just screams and alerts everyone. And I think that Chunk was really good as well. Kind of with Mr. X, you could kind of get around him a little bit, but with Chunk, you're done, mate. You've got to you run, or you've got to go around and high fee or whatever thing it is that you take him out. So yeah, it was a really kind of a good kind of Spencer Mansion kind of moment, I think, overall, mixed with the RPD. And like you said, it is a greatest hits of everything.
Yeah. I think Tim Getty said on the Kind of Funny podcast that Grace plays like 7 and 8, Leon plays like 4, but it's in the wrapper of Resident Evil 2. and
Yeah.
that is like the perfect way to
Yeah.
describe the whole thing. I think it's just so many inventive. It's got a great feeling of that stuff about an area, but then it'll throw a curveball in.
Yeah.
And these stalker characters who pop up. I mean, you can be running, sneaking past loads of zombies, and then all of a sudden, chunk just pops down, and you've got to run back through all those that you just passed, and they're grabbing you, and you're like
Yeah.
trying to hammer the X button to escape just as he's coming. And there's so many little bits like that it just really keeps you on your toes. I think overall these are probably the best dual protagonists in the series in terms of like gameplay. I
Yeah.
do like Chris and Jill in 1. I really like Claire and Leon in 2, but I think these just complement each other really nicely because, you know, Chris and Jill and Claire and Leon, they play pretty much the same. I mean, you have the odd little differences, but
Yeah.
the gameplay mechanics are exactly the same, and you pretty much always, you're going through different scenarios slightly, but you would struggle to really pick apart like this is completely different to
Or you
this.
can
Whereas Grace,
roundhouse. You can
yeah,
roundhouse as
exactly.
Leon.
Yeah. And so I'd say Grace and Leon, in terms of what they're able to do, they're just so opposite to each other. And, we talked about this on the Bone Temple, how I think humor can work really well in horror to alleviate
Yeah.
something. And you can be scared out your wits, really tense. And then you kind of need that joke to make you just take like a breath of relief, and then you can sink back into the horror even better and enjoy it even
Yeah.
better, I feel, anyway. And that's kind of what you get with Leon. He has jokes and quips,
On a second
and
opinion.
it's yeah, and it
Crack
just
me up.
bounces really nice. Yeah, it just bounces really nice like off how you've been with Grace and shitting yourself. And having that joke and that break, it'll allow you to push a little bit further along.
Yeah.
And I know people who played Alien Isolation and didn't stick with it the whole way because they were just like, oh, well, it's just like constantly sh- moving the goalposts all the time, just moving the goalpost, moving the goalpost. Whereas I think if you have a joke in there, it kind of just lets you go, oh, you know what? I've got through this section. We'll do one more.
Yeah.
So eventually you do get through pretty much everything, and you then go to an underground bunker with Grace, which is when you have a big crazy blood spill session. All the tanks erupt, and then you've got to run through it. The blister heads, I hate them. I
Yeah.
hate them.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that's asking me for a headshot under pressure, I'm like, fuck's sake. I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, I did that in
And
the
that's all
Raccoon
you can
City
let me
part.
do.
I went round the wrong
Yeah.
way. I went when you're supposed to get the little machine gun to take on
Yeah.
the orange dude again. I was like, oh
Yeah.
crap. It was so hard.
Yeah, oh, that bit, and then this is kind of when it switches more towards being Leon's game.
Yeah.
And I know some people have had complaints that they didn't like that it was the second half of it was pretty much just Resident Evil 4, but I did. And you kind of they managed to make it to the helicopter. They
Mm.
take off, it crashes, and then you've got to basically protect as Leon with a sniper rifle, and then fight a guy in a church. Now, I said to you, don't shoot the orange glowing stuff. We've been trained throughout video games to shoot the orange
Yeah.
glowing stuff. Do not shoot that. So just keep shooting the guy in the head and you take him down. And then it's from there that you go to Raccoon City, which is kind of, nostalgia bait, and member berries is often brought up as a criticism.
Yeah.
It can work great. It can be terrible, and just very clearly they've got no ideas and they're just trying to win some goodwill with the audience. I feel like Raccoon City was more the former in terms of it being a really good way to kind of use this stuff, because there's big sections of it that don't necessarily play on it being Raccoon City. You get like open world
Yeah.
areas with like minor tasks in, and you've got like a giant spider boss which kickstarts it. Yeah. And I felt it handled stuff really well. So beyond the title drops being amazing, what else did you think about Raccoon City?
What it's always been like. Well, I think we've just before that we had you actually killed the girl, didn't you? You killed her with the roof coming off.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Yeah, how could I miss that out?
That
Yeah,
was one of the best
The-
boss fights I think I've ever played. It's short,
Yeah.
sweet, clever, but yeah, I love that.
yeah. You've got you know your objectives as well of just turn the power on,
Yeah.
get the light,
But
don't
yeah,
get killed.
in Raccoon City, I think it's always been something I've always thought when the nuke goes off, I thought, what happened? Like a nuke just went off in America. And I know you have the BSAA and that moving forward, but it's always stuck in my head. I thought it was really cool. And it's really good going through it after they've done all the remakes and that. It's all in your head recently. And I thought they did a good job with it. I'm not too far in it. I've done the spider, the parking garage, which is basically Last of Us 2. It's very, very, very much for me
Yeah.
Last of Us 2, where the overworld is sort of okay, and then you go in the basement and they all appear out of the ground. And yeah, I thought they've done a good job with that. Very much a kind of history tour of it. I do know that you go to the RPD and things like that, and you go back to the Ark and that. So I can understand why people who liked the Seven survival horror are a bit annoyed with it, because it was a kind of swapping over. But as someone
Yeah.
who loves Resident Evil 4, I'm really enjoy and 5 and parts of 6. I do like that they've done this. And I found the open world a bit annoying in Village. It was kind of a bit nothingy, very underutilized, which I can feel, having played a bit of Raccoon City so far, I feel that that's going to be a bit of a similar thing here. But yeah, I'm excited to go delve into it. But I think it is good. Member berries are a problem in modern things at the moment, but I think that it's not somewhere you've returned to. It's not overdone anyway. But someone who is very much a Resident Evil fan will probably think I'm talking rubbish.
Yeah, no, I think it. Yeah, Raccoon City is kind of where the game just went to the next level for me. And it was kind of like in Metal Gear Solid 4 when you go back to Shadow Moses,
Yeah.
you're kind of reliving these moments again. Um, I'm not going to spoil too much about what happens, but there's when you get to the RPD, obviously, they had that in the trailer. There's some returning villains, things escalate, and I just felt that they kept putting so many unique things in that really made it feel like a love letter to the fans. That's how I describe this game, and especially this section. There's just the constant slotting in of certain things that it just comes out of nowhere, and it's
Yeah.
all of a sudden like, oh fuck, this is it. And then it kind of goes to the Arc Center, which I've never really liked these parts of
Oh,
the
really?
Resident Evil games. Oh, just the scientific lab stuff. I don't know why. I've just never really gelled with it, and
I
they
always love
always
it.
do it for the climax. I think 2 probably handled it the best, where you had the big central thing with the bridges, and then you had the plant creatures, and then you had to get to the
Yeah.
train and escape. Really like that, but I think 3, especially 3 remake, was kind of a bit meh.
Oh,
I don't think they did it in the original 3 actually. I think it
oh, they're
was just
not.
the remake one. Yeah, but 4 I quite liked.
Yeah.
The lab stuff with the laser corridor, but for me, just some of the stuff with the labs, I just don't really gel with because it's always kind of the same thing, and it's all.
Yeah.
I feel like the sterile environments of like the clean, pristine corridors and like the tiled floors.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the creep factor for me in the way that like an abandoned police
Yeah.
station or an abandoned mansion or
I
hotel
like it at
does.
the end where it's kind of like you've had the horror and now you're delving into like the reveals or kind of the
Yeah,
umbrella-ness. I quite like it. I quite like the switch up.
yeah. For me, I think I always just find it's like too well lit, and it's just like
Yeah.
very large white rooms and TV screens with monitors on and stuff, and I just never fully gel with
Mm.
that. But that's kind of where things go down, and we learn the truth about Elpis. And yeah, everything kicks off. You get the choice of 2 endings, and the initial instinct is to go for destroy. But if you don't do that, you do something else, and it saves the day because Grace is very much Spencer's hope, and it's a more optimistic ending for the character. Now, they do end with a post-credit scene for what's coming next time, potentially. I didn't say this in our ending explained, but someone left a comment, and I'm like, they've figured it out. So they think that they're getting Xeno for that section to kind of go off and lead into other things. But I'm quite interested. What I love about this game is that it feels like a closing of the chapter on everything that's came before. You've got like even Sherry popping up as like the mission communicator was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, yeah, Sherry Birkin's back. It just feels like a great closing of the chapter. And though I don't know where they're going to go from here, I am quite excited to see where it is, as long as it's not like another Ethan Winters game. I hope they, Chris gets teased quite a lot towards the end. I hope they stick with him,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how they go with it. But so, what are your closing thoughts on the game that you played? I mean, you're pretty far into it,
Oh, am
but
I?
I just steamroll through shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it is an absolutely solid horror mix. I do like the mixing of the things, and like you, I am getting the feeling, like you said, it is feeling like it's a close on this kind of Raccoon City story. Um, but yeah, I think it is fantastic and just looks good, fun to play. It's definitely playing as Leon is the most fun. I think overall because for remake, it's just ridiculously fun and good. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Um, like you said, I don't want another Ethan Winters. The character, I see a lot. Everyone hates him from what I've seen,
Yeah.
um, because he was a bit of a nothing, to be honest. And 7 felt like they were kind of moving forward with the overarching story. Kind of close. They keep having this thing where they try and move forward, but it always gets to the nostalgia, because everyone just
Yeah.
loves the old characters. But yeah, I think it is an absolutely solid game. It's probably one of my favorites out of all I've played of them. Um, but
Yeah.
but I'm excited to see where they go next with it. I do want more Chris. I do want so yeah, I do want Chris to return. I do want that 5 remake.
Yeah, I mean they keep teasing him so much. They're always like Chris at the end of like I think he was at the end of 7, and then was obviously in 8, and then they kind of
Yeah, it was Sicky
talk about him
Village.
quite a lot in this. Yeah, they always kind of tease him and have him like in bits and bobs. I'd love to see a Chris and Claire game, like a
Yeah,
proper brother and sister one. I think that would be a really good way to go
yeah,
with it.
because her bike was gone,
Um,
wasn't it? Out of the or some. I
yeah,
think if you when you go into Raccoon City, his Jeep is there, but her bike is gone or something. So
yeah,
yeah, I
nice
do
catch,
hope
nice
I
catch.
do hope we see her. But yeah, I do want a Chris Redfield game. As much as I've said they're closing the chapter on it, I can't help
Yeah,
but want more Chris because 5, I know it's problematic and everything's kind of it's the opposite of everything. Him punching the boulder is just so ridiculous. I love it. I
yeah,
want him back. And when he descends into the mold in Village, and you just literally just go Call of Duty. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But they do have to
Fucking
balance
loves
it.
that one.
Yeah, they do have to balance it a
Yeah,
bit.
I think they've got quite in general with what they're doing. I think they've got a really good balance between like releasing remakes and then releasing new
Yeah.
titles. And I've really enjoyed just going through the remakes again. I mean, I think 4 was fantastic,
Mm.
2 was fantastic, 3 I really enjoyed it first playthrough, and then it was one of those ones that I just didn't have any replay had any replay value, and they
Yeah.
kind of skipped out a lot of like the clock tower missing from that game is just insane to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did so much with that it just kind of felt underserved, and 2 really managed to recapture the spirit. And even though it wasn't like scenario A and B, it wasn't as extensive in those terms. It
Yeah.
still felt like it did everything that was in that game. And it didn't really feel like there was anything missing. Whereas with 3, I was like, well, this isn't it. And this isn't in, and this isn't in.
Yeah.
But I think it's like a fun ride. 3 is quite good as like
Yeah.
just a straightforward
I had a
playthrough.
lot of fun with it.
Um,
I just
yeah,
had to.
4 is obviously fantastic, but it's based on a fantastic game
Yeah.
in the first place. And then the rumors are that they're doing 1 again. Obviously, we've had Resident Evil
Yeah.
1 remake already, which still holds up. I mean, it still looks fantastic, that
Yeah.
game. I bought it for the PS4, I think, and I've played it again recently, and it's so good. So yeah, we might get a 3D version of that, but then I don't know if it kind of loses its personality in being 3D.
Yeah.
But then, to be fair, 2 and 3 were also in that, painted
I
on
think
background
I
shit that
think
they
it is
used to do.
needed. I think it is needed to make because I know they did the
Yeah.
HD one and all that. We had the GameCube version as well, but with
Mm.
the modern controls and everything and the modern way of playing it, I think they should definitely make it. But you're right, it is kind
Yeah.
of you've had it. You could do Code Veronica there as well.
Yeah, that's another one that's rumored. I
Yeah.
don't know if Code Veronica's base game though. I mean, I might get flamed on in the comments for this, but I've just never seen like Code Veronica as being like one of those must go back to sort of
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, I never got a
I
chance to
remember it
play
being
it.
a massive. Oh yeah, it was a massive title launch for the Dreamcast, and I remember watching the cutscenes in the gameplay and thinking, "Oh, this looks amazing," and then it just kind of
Yeah.
it felt quite dated. I don't know at the time. I just think it felt quite dated because
Yeah.
everything was kind of moving away from those pre-rendered backgrounds
Yeah, it
and giving us
was.
like more actual 3D worlds. Whereas that was like it was still actual polygon backgrounds, but the camera was still fixed, and I don't know. It kind of felt a bit dated at the time.
Didn't
I
it came out on
remember
the
feeling,
GameCube as well, and they updated it? I know they did a lot of
yeah,
that. Like NGS2 had Twin Snakes as well,
yeah, yeah,
which looked
yeah.
stunning and is now locked behind, never being released again.
Yeah,
But
you'll never get that
yeah.
again. Yeah, you'll never get that again. They should remake Metal Gear Solid 1 if anything.
Yes,
But
definitely.
yeah, but yeah, closing thoughts. Really, really enjoyed it. High recommend. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 like people have been saying. I think there's
Yeah.
just little certain sections where it's like, oh, if we could just cut this out this game, I think you'd
Yeah.
have a fantastic stellar ride from
Yeah.
start to
I think I'm a
finish.
9 or a
But yes,
10, an 8 or a 9 at the
yeah.
moment for me.
Yeah, it gets better. Once you get to the RPD, you're going to be like, oh shit. And I think a lot of the scoring as well might rely on people's knowledge of the other games.
Yeah.
Because I think if I give this to like someone who'd never played the other stuff, they'd be like, oh, it's good, but I don't know what the fuck any of this is. I'm giving it a solid 8. But yeah, in terms of gameplay, just in terms of how polished it is as
Yeah.
well, it's rare that you see a game that's like this nailed, and there's so many little tweaks in it, that little like secrets and things you can do that you wouldn't even think about. So yeah, must play, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Still probably going to be one of the game of the years. I think
Yeah,
probably
definitely.
my game of the year. But yeah, very, very good,
Until First Light
very
comes
good
out.
game. Yeah, which I am attached to now officially. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw watching it. The devs did a trailer video the other day where
Yeah.
they were reacting to YouTubers, and Kevin Spoilers was there, and the guy said he is James
It's the
Bond,
new Bond
that lad.
confirmed.
Yeah, new Bond confirmed. Swap his face like those Spider-Man
Yeah.
games. Get him in as the new Bond. But yeah, really good game.
Yeah.
Excited to play it again and just keep getting more upgrades and going back through it.
Yeah.
But thank you, Matt, for joining
No
us.
problem.
I know I've kind of talked over you the whole time. I feel
Oh,
bad
no,
now.
you're the
But yeah,
Resi expert. I'm the tourist.
well, he is the editor, researcher, writer, the man who makes me look smart at the channel. So give all your praise to him. Thank you so much, Matt.
No
And
problem.
yeah, you guys enjoy it. Thanks for watching the video.
Bye.